Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness here on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Ghoul MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. Hopefully, we are awaiting the arrival of Michael Bullock. If he joins us, great. If he doesn't, then we don't. I guess we'll see him on Friday for a very special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. I'll get into what that's gonna entail at the end of the program. Lot of content we got here tonight. So we're gonna start out with the Great American Bash. The Great American Bash that went down on Sunday night, live um, on Peacock and the WWE Network around the world. Um, from the Heb Center, the HEB Center at Cedar Park, Texas, and how we started it off? Well, we started off with the NXT tag team titles, the family going up against the Gallus Boys. When it's all said and done, winners of the bout in 8 minutes and 43 seconds, and new NXT tag team champions, the family. The dawn of NXT, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. History was indeed made, unprecedented crowning as they win the tag team titles in a solid 2.5 to 3 star bout. Very good matchup, great way to start the show. And yeah, it was a solid bout. But I think we knew that the family was going to win the belts. So for them to win the titles was a great way to do it. Amazing match, a great outcome to say the very least. And there's really nothing more to add here. So, Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Well, I'll tell you what, Matt. With all this being a loaded show here, I will not be doing my detailed analysis that I usually do. The after detailed analysis, that is, but I will do my traditional analysis. Just to save time and whatnot, because we got a lot to get into here tonight, and we don't want to take too much time. So I'll make it. I'll say it like this. I agree with the rating. 2.5 to 3. That's about right. Match was good fun. No one did anything unbelievable, but over 9 minutes, these men kept the speed of the action high. Joe Coffey got involved in timely ways and never distracted from the central action. Gallus had a good run with the tag team titles, but it was time to move on. The family has come together as a tag team and got the crowd behind them. After 2 months without the Don in a wrestling ring, there needed to be a payoff to finally give them gold. NXT set up 4 men as the future of the company several years ago. Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes got NXT championship reigns. Grayson Waller got a fast call up to the main roster. It's finally the Don's time to shine as well. So solid 2.5 to 3 stars. I agree with the ratings. So with that, let's get into the next match, which was an MF special because these are 2 of your favorite girls, MF.
These are. It is Roxanne Perez, the Prodigy, going one-on-one with Blair Davenport in a Weapons Wild match. And it was the Prodigy, Roxanne Perez, winning the match in 11 minutes and 49 seconds. Anthony, it's yours.
3.25 to 3.5. Round 2 was significantly better than round 1 for these 2 rivals. The pace was stronger. The action was more memorable. The right woman won in the right moment for the Texas crowd. This was what the Prodigy needed to finally get back on track. She got to show that she can compete at a high level with a degree of toughness she had not showcased before. It would not be surprising if this led to Roxanne Perez challenging for the NXT Women's Championship at the No Mercy event at the end of September. Maybe it could even lead to the Prodigy getting the title reign she should have gotten the first time. I don't know, but I think it will not be long before we see that women's title back around that waist. So, and a match like this definitely puts her on track towards that. So, 3.25, 3.5 stars, no question about it. So, right woman won. So, not much more to say except MF. Your thoughts?
3.25, very good win for her massive win for the Prodigy. She needed it. I know they were talking about the body of work. I know they were talking about this storyline that they were going to try to do, and I thought they did a really good job with it as well. At the end of the day, the right person won, like you said. Nothing more to say, Anthony Florio. Let's move on. The next thing we did have was Gable Steveson versus Baron Corbin. Match ends in a double countout in 6 minutes and 32 seconds. By default, it is an NA, but let's be realistic here. This match was indeed the worst fight of the night. The crowd just did not care for this match at all. Gable Steveson, if this was his first outing in WWE, man, does he have a lot of work on his way. I don't know, man. I honestly and truthfully, there's certain guys that are meant for WWE. There are certain guys that are meant for professional wrestling. This guy, Gable, I'm sorry, man. I'm not sold. I am not sold on his ability. I don't know if he could actually. I don't know. I honestly don't believe he can hack it in WWE, or for that matter, any wrestling organization around the world. I think he's a great amateur guy. I think he'll do great in the Olympics. But as far as professional goes, nope. Sorry. I don't see it. Worst fight of the night. You could even call it a dud because even the fans dumped on him. You know you're in trouble when they start cheering for Baron Corbin, for heaven's sakes. Florio, it's yours.
NA was being generous, MF. I'm gonna pull the trigger and call this a dud. This was horrible. This was a forgettable brawl that amounted to a non-finish. While Stevenson did not look bad, he also did not impress. He looked like an NXT superstar that had a long way to go to put it all together. It did not help that Stevenson was thrown in front of a hostile crowd that was clearly not impressed with him after all the hype. This probably should have happened on an episode of NXT instead with a controlled performance center crowd. The post-match, however, was better than the match, and it would have been better to have that pace from the opening bell. If there's a rematch, maybe that will work better. I don't know, but I'm sorry, MF. This was an absolute dud. This was the worst fight of the night, so not much more to say. Let's move on to a much better match, shall we?
Yeah, triple threat for the North American title, as it was Dominic Mysterio putting the title on the line versus Wes Lee and Mustafa Ali. Dominic Mysterio winning the match in 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Anthony, it's yours.
3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. I gotta tell you, before losing the NXT North American Championship, Wes Lee was stealing the show at every premium live event, and he did it again. This was a fantastic triple threat that was several steps above the field that preceded it. It was and it was also Dirty Dom's best performance to date in the ring. It helps when you are working, with two incredibly young, talented young veterans that could, get a great match out of them. And it helps. Like I said, it helps when you are working with two men who were motivated and competing at their absolute best as well. Wes Lee carried the North American Championship scene for a long time, and his 2023 may be one of the best of any WWE superstar. Keeping the title on Dominic Mysterio will keep everyone talking about NXT, while Ali lost out on a big opportunity with Dirty Dom taking the gold. He could be an even bigger star coming out of this, especially since he can work all three brands because he is a quote-unquote free agent. So, so we'll see about that. But fantastic match. It's one of the fights of the night for sure. 3.5, 3 3/4. MF, wow.
3.5 stars, no doubt about it. You could easily say one of the top bouts of the evening. This was excellent, man. Good matchup, good battle, good fight. And, the outcome was never in doubt. Dom deserved to win it, no doubt about it. And we'll go and we'll see how it plays out. So next up we had was Tiffany Stratton versus Thea Hale in a submission match for the NXT Women's title. Tiffany Stratton winning the match in 11 minutes and 45 seconds due to the fact that Andre Chase threw in the towel to end the match. Look, fine battle, good fight, And this was probably, there was two ways they could have done this. If they wanted to protect Thea, throwing of the towel was one, or have her pass out from the pain would have been the other to make her look like, hey, she's a fighter, she's a scrapper, she wasn't going to go out. And this ending, in a way, it protects both women. It did. For Tiffany Stratton, it makes her that she overcame the odds. Everybody was saying Thea has a great chance of winning it because of the fact that it was, under those circumstances, but she did it. She pulled it off. It was a massive win for her. Congratulations. And then for Thea, hey, give a lot of credit where credit was due. She hung tough. She was a fighter. It was Andre Chase that felt like this was better for her to go out. So she decided to go out that way. It was an incredible match. This is another 3.5 star bout. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, 3.25, 3.5 stars. It was not the prettiest technical match, but it did keep the crowd constantly invested throughout. Both women fought hard and have a good deal of chemistry together. Tiffany Stratton worked hard throughout, but she leaves this match clearly demonstrating submissions are not her specialty. The Boston Crab should not have been the finish, as she could not lock it in. That was the only blemish on a match that was better than the sum of its parts. These are two talented superstars with a crowd behind them. They will only get better. The decision was obvious, as Thea Hale is not ready. However, she had looked more ready in the past month than ever before. But I do believe her time will come eventually. And of course, when you saw Andre Chase throwing in the towel on behalf of his star pupil there, two throw in the towel moments immediately come to mind. Of course, December 26, 1983, Madison Square Garden, the late great Arnold Skaaland, when he threw in the towel on behalf of Bob Backlund, which gave the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship to the late great Iron Sheik. And then, of course, the 1994 Survivor Series, when another late great, Mrs. Helen Hart, had to throw in the towel on behalf of her son, Brett, because of being in that chicken wing submission, that cross-face chicken wing of Mr. Bob Backlund that gave Backlund the title. So,
not only that, but also remember, it was Owen Hart that pleading, begging for Mama to throw the towel in. And she did, unbeknownst to them, that Owen didn't want that to happen, that he wanted Brett to lose the belt.
And by the way, Owen's performance in that moment, Academy Award performance.
Yes, the way. Absolutely.
So, no question about it. But you can relive both of those on Peacock, because we know the 94 Survivor Series is there. I know they have those old school MSG shows on the Peacock as well, and I think that show is there too. So you can relive that as well, the 1983 moment with the Sheik. But nonetheless, I just wanted to get that off my chest real quick, because when I saw Andre throw in that towel, those two moments, boom, conjured up right in my mind immediately. So I had to get that off my chest real quick. But nonetheless, 3.25, 3.5 stars. I think we could be looking at a possible Roxanne Perez, maybe the next challenger, based on that impressive win over Blair Davenport in that Weapons Wild match. Who knows? Maybe we could start building a possible title feud with the two of them. And if that's the direction they go in, come No Mercy or whenever, I believe that's when Roxy gets the belt back. So we'll see what happens. But 3.25, 3.5. So MF, I believe it's main event time.
It is indeed main event time, and it is for the NXT title. Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov, winner of the bout, 24 minutes and 7 seconds, and still the NXT champion, the one, the A champ. Carmelo Hayes wins the title. There's really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Wow. 4.5 to 4.75 of a star. If you wanted to make an argument for 5, I wouldn't be mad at you. This physical war was everything it promised to be. Ilya Dragunov turned the chest of Carmelo Hayes red early and did not stop chopping. When it looked like neither could go further, Trick Williams found his friend to hype him up. And while Melo has always been but the final 3 minutes reached it. This was incredible from both men. Add another match from NXT onto the match of the year list. Either man could have won this and deserved it, but clearly NXT sees a little bit more right now in the A champion. With a somewhat dubious finish, there could be a rematch, and it could be even better. Hopefully, we will get some more of Melo challenging himself in physical matches, raising his game to that top level. If he does, he will quickly become a champion on the main roster as well. So, it's right around 4.5 to 5. Definitely is the rating. This was definitely the fight of the night. So there's no question about it. So MF, I mean, we knew this match was going to be good. We knew it would be. Should we be surprised that it lived up to the hype? I'm certainly not.
No, not at all. And you could even make an argument that this was possibly, it could be in the line of the fire of a possible NXT fight of the year. This could be the NXT fight of the year. It was even talked about maybe being even a candidate for possibly being a match of the year candidate overall. Now, I don't think it's going to be match of the year because there's too many matches that were so damn good. But if you want to talk about them to at least be considered in like a top 5, top 10 list for matches of the year, absolutely. I would definitely put this at least in the top 10, maybe a lower tier top 10, but like between the 6 to 10 range. But this definitely at least gets a consideration for a nominee for fight of the year. Yes. 4.5 stars. I thought it was a great matchup and a great way to close the show. As far as an overall review, I would say about 7.5. I thought it was a really good event. Crowd was definitely into it throughout the night. There was some matches that could have been better than others, but all in all, not bad. So nothing more to say. Anthony, give me your quick thoughts, and then we'll get into the regular NXT, the fallout from it.
Will do. Great American Bash was another solid premium live event from the NXT brand. It was certainly elevated by its unforgettable main event between Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship. However, it was also a card that delivered more than what was promised coming in. The talent worked hard. Multiple matches were career highlights for the competitors. Dominic Mysterio versus Wes Lee versus Mustafa Ali was a very strong number 2 for the night. Roxanne Perez versus Blair Davenport in the Weapons Wild match gave fans fresh hardcore action during a night of workhorse action. Tiffany Stratton, Thea Hale was a showcase of the future of the women's division. The family winning the NXT Tag Team Championships off of Gallus set the stage for a new look tag team division. The one thing missing was lasting moments beyond the action. With most titles retained and a lack of drama with most of those defenses, NXT still needs to do a better job creating suspense with future title challengers. Take the Gable Steveson debut off this card, as it probably should have been, and this was one of NXT's most solid top-down events in recent years. So 7.5, teetering on 8 for me. So that's my thought on it. So with that being said, MF, let's get into the fallout of the Great American Bash that went down last night on NXT.
All right. And with that said, we will start it off. We start out with Lara Valkyria versus JC Jane. And the winner of the bout in 9 minutes and 26 seconds, Lara Valkyria winning the match. Well, you know what? I'll say it. About a week ago, it was basically the one and only Rhea Ripley. She laid down that challenge saying, you know what? You want to impress me? Go out and beat JC Jane. She exactly did it. She did exactly that. She heard you. She got the job done. You watching now, mommy? Did you just see how your little protege just did? Does she earn your respect now? She earned mine. That was a solid performance, a 2.5 to 3 star victory for her, and a great way to start off NXT. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3. I 100% agree. This was a big test for JC Jane, who needed this to be her best performance to date. Instead, it was obvious that Lyra Valkyria was slowing down to let her keep up, especially after contesting Rhea Ripley a week ago. While nothing about this was offensive, it just could not match to the build. Jane is not the performer necessary to push the Valkyrie, who should go right back to title contention soon. Meanwhile, JC Jane needs more time in the Performance Center, honing her craft. She has the attitude, but her in-ring arsenal is too limited. She needs more moves to vary up her matches and allow her to compete at a higher level. So I do agree about the rating, 2.5 to 3. No surprise about the outcome. I had Valkyria winning it, so there isn't much more to say here except MF. Let's move on to the next relevant thing.
All right, and with that, hang on. Let me see. Next relevant thing: Eddie Thorpe going one-on-one with Dijak. Dijak winning the match in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Quick thought, Anthony?
Maximize their minutes. Dijak needed this win, but Eddie Thorpe is also losing serious momentum following his victory in NXT Underground. Hopefully the next match between these two will be more two-sided, no matter who wins. These two have plenty more story left to tell together. 2 stars, MF, it's yours.
Yeah, 2 stars, solid match. Really nothing more to add. The next that we had was a women's tag team fight. Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez going up against Yulisa Leon and Valentina Faraz. And it was Vice and Lopez winning in 3:33. Short match, could have been better in certain areas, but it was still a fine matchup. I'm not going to talk too much about this one. And Anthony, you don't really have to talk about this one. We'll just move right on along. Next up we had was Wesley and Carmelo Hayes versus Noam Dar and Oro Mansa representing Meta-4. And when it was all said and done, Meta-4 wins the match in 10:34. Basically, this one here, I'm going to say it. This one was a fine match, but it sets up for the next title contention. The next fight, it looks like it's going to be Carmelo Hayes versus Wes Lee because, as you noticed, Melo was trying to talk to Wes Lee. Wes Lee was getting frustrated. He was getting angry. He was, thinking everything, everything's been falling apart for him while you're on top. And you can tell the guys just couldn't work together. It looked like basically they are, they're trying to work as partners, but there's definitely an underlying thing. Wesley wants to become the NXT champion. Carmelo's trying to be, was trying to be a friend. Unfortunately, Wesley's thinking something bigger. He wants that belt now because he wants to get that momentum shift. He's been sick and tired of losing. And think about it. He was the North American champion for a good while, had the belt almost the longest reign in NXT history. I think he missed it out by a week when he lost to Dominic Mysterio. And since then, he has not won a match since. So the frustration is starting to mount considerably. So nothing more to say. Anthony, solid matchup. Just the outcome, oof.
Yes, setting up Melo versus Lee is smart booking. The two have carried NXT this last year, and the A champion lost to Lee on his way to the NXT championship. Hopefully NXT does not rush it, as this has banger potential. I would love to see this match happen. I would be so excited to see this match. I mean, you thought Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov was great? This would be even better. Let me tell you. But like I said, I'm hoping that it does not rush it, as this anger eating away at Lee can make this story special. Meta-4 got a shocking upset in a good match. It's nice to see them picking up some needed momentum. though the group probably should have won on Sunday if this was the plan come last night. They had a kickoff show match. The four of them, Noam Dar, Oro Mensah, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson, they went up against Nathan Frazier, Dragon Lee, Valentina Feroz, and Yulissa Leon, and the babyface team won that match. A solid kickoff show match, by the way. But this stable's growth has been a major bright spot on NXT programming. Hopefully NXT will not take their work for granted. So that's really all I can say on that. So next week, as you know, Noam Dar, Metaphor gave Noam Dar this quote unquote, bootleg Heritage Cup. We all know Nathan Frazier is the current Heritage Cup holder. And Noam Dar is going to, defend that next week. I forgot against who, but he's going to be defending that thing next week. So we'll see how that goes. But for right now, 3.25 stars. That's the best I could give it. But like I said, Mello versus Lee, if they're smart, they'll burn this thing to No Mercy. Make this the main event of No Mercy. Oh my God, Dragunov was one thing, but you put those two young studs, give them the main event spot, give them almost the same amount of time as they gave Mello and Dragunov. It's gonna make that Dragunov Mello match look like a dud enhancement fight. Honest to goodness. So, can't wait. I hope they do it. So, but don't do it yet. Give it time to burn. No Mercy. That's the day you do it. So, unless they have something else in mind, but we'll see. 3.25, move on.
All right, and with that said, we do indeed move on. Right after that, the next relevant thing we had was Baron Corbin versus Andre Chase. Baron Corbin winning the match in 5 minutes and 14 seconds. So, Anthony, if you want to talk about it, we can. If you don't, then we could just move right on along.
Well, I will say this. It was a fine match, though. It was more about the story than the action. Thea Hale is clearly not happy about Andre Chase giving up the match on her behalf. The latest drama in Chase U should keep this story moving for a while longer. It's still not quite clicking for Corbin. Even with a better entrance theme, picking up a win will give him some momentum back, but he will need to work NXT for a while to really sell himself to the audience again. I'll be nice, and I'll give this 2.5 for the effort. So, okay. MF, quick thought?
Yeah, 2.5. No doubt about it. I totally agree with that. And we'll get into what was actually the main event of the evening, because there was a lot of promo stuff after this. And actually, the main event was a 6-man tag team fight. It was the Coffee Brothers and Wolfgang of Gallus versus the new NXT Tag Team Champions of the family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. And they needed to call for a third guy. So, who do they grab? LWO member and original leader of Legado del Fantasma. Yes, the number one contender for the United States Heavyweight Championship, Santos Escobar. Well, remember, they were a part of the family. Well, they called the lifeline, and Santos said, yeah, all right, fine. I'll do it this one time. Well, it actually panned out to be a good move. Winners of the bout, 9 minutes and 39 seconds. Santos Escobar and the family, they win it. So, not bad. Pretty good main event. Good matchup, to say the very least. And, yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a good main event. I'd give this about 3 stars. And, yeah, I really got nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
3 stars. Very fun callback. Escobar came up as a returning hero, helping the men he once feuded with all the way to the end of his NXT run. It was not a match many will remember beyond this night, but it served as a fun celebration for the new champions. Hopefully this is the end of Gallus going after the family. It would be good to see fresh blood in the tag team division. NXT has too many teams just waiting to get back on TV. So solid 3 stars for this one. Here, hate to say it, back to reality show. which was expected. Despite the hype coming out of the Great American Bash, NXT delivered one of its flattest shows in months. The promised matches were unspectacular, and the surprise tag team bouts were inconsequential. The segments throughout the night did not have the necessary spark. While NXT built a strong card for next week, it would have made sense to see more of that on this show. Lyra Valkyria versus JC Jane was the only strong representation for the women's division throughout the night, and it wasn't enough. It would have been nice to see more of Tiffany Stratton or Roxanne Perez live after their big wins. The best part of the show was the beginning of a feud between Wes Lee and Carmelo Hayes. That should and will be something special. The main event was also a fun blast from the past, but not much more than that. Overall, NXT took the night off from delivering quality action. It could have been worse, but it also could have been so much better. I could probably, we did have some solid matches here and there, but we did have some fights. So I'm leaning somewhere around 4 to 5 out of 10, to be honest with you. And but next week looks a little promising. I mean, you got Braun Breaker going up against Von Wagner. That could be a fun be a man fight if all goes well. But the match I'm looking forward to next week, MF, Dominic Mysterio defending the North American Championship against Dragon Lee. Of course, Dom will have Mommy Rhea Ripley, the Women's World Champion, in his corner. In Dragon Lee's corner and coming to NXT, how about it? Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio is going to be invading NXT. Whoa. Okay. You got my attention. So not only is that going to be a good match, but who knows? Maybe, just maybe, could we see Dragon Lee possibly make history and win the title? Could happen. You never know. Especially if Ray's out there. That would be a great way to stick it to your son. After this feud that's been going on for almost, which is going to be approaching a year next month, if you can imagine that. So, we'll wait and see what happens. But 4 to 5 out of 10, yeah, show. Back to reality. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll be a little more generous. I think it was about a 5.5. I mean, yeah, in certain areas it didn't deliver. It wasn't good, so I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, I thought it could have been better in certain areas. But it is what it is. Nothing more to say. Let's just dive right on in. AEW Dynamite to kick it off from the Youngling Center in Tampa, Florida. We started off with Konosuke Takeshita and Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia. Winners of the bout in 12 minutes and 15 seconds was Jericho and Takeshita. Thanks to Don Callis, basically giving the bat, using the bat, Jericho's bat on Daniel Garcia, and to get the 1, 2, 3. Jericho looked pissed. Jericho's like, "What the hell? I didn't want to do that." And now there's a lot of people now questioning Jericho. I mean, the commentary crew was really trying to stick it, saying that Jericho betrayed his own crew to for the Callis. But I don't know. It made it look like that he's still conflicted more than anything else. But that ending definitely is going to make a few people raise their eyebrows, and a lot of people on the Jericho Appreciation Society was not happy at all with Jericho, and especially with him winning the match that way at the end. I don't think there's really much for us to say here. Solid matchup. I'll give this about 3 stars. Anthony, there's a lot of fallout coming out of this battle more than anything else.
What was that time again? 11 what?
11:32.
Okay. Yep. 3.5, but I'm bumping it. I mean, it was a fine opener. And by the way, MF, you forgot to mention 200th episode of Dynamite here. I mean, great accomplishment. Congratulations to TK and everybody over there. 200 episodes of Dynamite. That is something. But you notice Jericho did not appear to be overly happy with the way it went down. And, Don Callis, blasting Daniel Garcia with the ball bat and setting up the finish, but not before an irritated Jericho questioned his longtime friend's actions. And of course, the former champion, Jericho, still took a moment to score the pinfall win. But his displeasure with the way it went down was apparent, especially considering that the team he conquered was made up of Jericho Appreciation Society proteges. It remains to be seen whether Chris Jericho fully commits to the Don Callis family. But after Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, interrupted an interview attempt by Renee Paquette and ordered him to attend a JAS mandatory meeting next week, the decision may not be his to make. So we'll see how it all goes down next week at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio, on my birthday. Oh, by the way. So happy birthday to me. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, it was a 3.5 star match, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the finish. So not much more to say here, MF. And we move on to whatever the next relevant thing is.
That's actually going to be a three-way dance, a three-way fight. Trent Beretta versus Jon Moxley versus Penta El Zero Miedo. Winner of the bout, 11 minutes, 15 seconds, was Trent Beretta. So, Anthony, it is yours.
Did you say it was 11:58 or longer than that?
It was 11:15.
11:15. All right. I thought it was longer than that with the way it went down, but
nope, 11:15. That's what I got.
Okay. But anyways, this was a great match. This was 3.5, teetering on 3 3/4 of a star. The action between Jon Moxley, Trent Beretta, and Penta El Zero Miedo was nonstop, and it was apropos to see three guys who have been with AEW since Dynamite's debut episode. But the match itself was bogged down in the same tiresome hardcore wrestling that we have seen way too often of late. No, that is not an indictment of that style, because it certainly has its place, but when it occurs so often, it ultimately loses its meaning and it stops mattering as much as it would if it was used in moderation. Trent Beretta scoring the win was a nice touch, because that guy, whether it was in WWE, New Japan, or in AEW, has long been one of the most underrated workers in the business. He earned a win of this magnitude, and the challenge laid out by his partner Chuck Taylor for our parking lot brawl against Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli this Friday night on Rampage. Whoa, I guess I have a reason to watch that show now. Okay.
Yeah.
Should be fun, if for no other reason than it changes things up and creates fresh opportunities for the chaotic style favored by its participants. And props to Penta as well, who looked to be in his best shape in years and showed out here. But it was still a fun match, though. I mean, I kind of enjoyed a lot of those spots, and commentary really got me going. And I love, the energy of Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and Taz every week. I mean, they make each and every match, fun with their style of commentary there. So, and they definitely had a lot of fun with this match, no question about it. And I always love when Excalibur goes nuts on certain spots, and great stuff. So I could make an argument for Fight of the Night honors if I wanted to. But nonetheless, this was a 3.5 to 3 3/4 star match. And MF, we all remember last time we saw a parking lot brawl, I believe we gave that a 5-star classic rating, if I recall.
Yes, correct. We did. If I remember correct, yeah.
And get this. And Rampage on Friday nights, that's not exactly must-see television, honestly. However, this is one of the rare times that I'm actually looking forward to something they're doing. I mean, Best Friends versus Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli in a parking lot brawl on Rampage of all shows. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but sign me up. Yeah. I'll be tuning in. I'll actually be tuning in. So I'm actually looking forward to it. Hard to believe. So go figure, MF. As I said, 3.5, 3 3/4 for the match, but Go figure. AEW actually, for once, gives us a fun match on Rampage of all shows. Go figure. Wow.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, I'll give it 3.5, about 3.5 stars. I thought it was a solid matchup, and really nothing more to say, and we'll see how it plays out down the line. Next up on the show was a 6-man tag team fight, as it was the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Oh, by the way, yes, there was the word that got out earlier today that the Elite, all the 3 members of the Elite and Adam Hangman Page, all signed multi-year extensions with AEW. They're not going anywhere. So that was the big news of the day, that Adam Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks all signed multi-year extensions with AEW. They are staying with them. The details are relatively unknown at the moment, so we don't know how many years or what the contracts are like. All we know is that they are staying with AEW. There was some talk that maybe in 2024 that maybe Kenny Omega might go to WWE, but now that is a pipe dream in itself. But as far as the action goes, the Elite going up against Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh, and it was the Elite winning in 9 minutes. It was fine for what it was worth. It was a good matchup. Obviously, you were going to have the Elite win it. I mean, these were the guys who started AEW. They were a mainstay of AEW since the very beginning. So, they've all had an integral part in 200 episodes of Dynamite. So obviously you had to have them win this match. So there's really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours. I say 3 stars.
Agreed. 3 stars for me as well. On the same day, they inked extensions to remain with AEW for the foreseeable future. The Elite defeated Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh in a fun, energetic trios bout. Yes, there was interference from Karen Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, Brandon Cutler, and ultimately Hangman Adam Page before the Elite scored the win following a one-winged angel from Kenny Omega to Jay Lethal. The reveal that the Elite will stick with AEW moving forward was a long time coming and will certainly make their fans happy. Where they go from here with All In and All Out rapidly approaching in short order is the question. And that's really all there is to say on that. So a solid 3 stars here. So not much more to say on that. So okay, and we move on now, MF, to a Ring of Honor a Ring of Honor World Tag Team title match on free television. How about it?
Yes, it is. Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, they put up the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles against Commander and El Hijo de Vecino. And when it was all said and done, the winners of the bout, unfortunately, I don't have a time. Oh, damn, they did not give me a time here. But whatever the case may be, champions remain the champions. Aussie Open wins the match. Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, sir. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions Aussie Open successfully defended their titles tonight in a strong match that saw them counter the frenetic pace of challengers El Hijo del Kingo and Commander with physicality, power, and technique. The champions simply out-wrestled their opponents, took advantage of Commander's reliance on the flashy, and put him down to escape with the titles. There will be some who argue against ROH titles being defended on Dynamite when that brand has its own show and could benefit from a high-profile championship match like this, and they would mostly be right. Anytime you have the opportunity to get a team that has momentum on its side and is developing into one of the best in the industry, as Aussie Open is, you find ways to get them in front of the biggest audience possible. Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher are that, and here made the most of their opportunity. So I'm working on getting the time of the fall for you, MF.
I'm getting it right. I'm trying to get it right now too.
Oh, okay. But nonetheless, It was a fun match for the most part there. So just taking just a little slow here. Yeah, this was the This was the ROH tag team title matchup. I have 9:48. I don't know about you.
Yeah, roughly 10 minutes. I'll give you that. Yeah, about 2.5 to 3. No doubt about it. Solid matchup. No doubt. Solid match. Great action that we had here. Unmute. I had to unmute my mic. So roughly 10 minutes. Solid battle going in the main event, as it was. Tony Storm versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Title. Winner of the bout in 13 minutes and 15 seconds. And new AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. Oh my goodness, can you believe this turn of events? Wow. Whoever thought this was going to happen? Um, Look, give credit where credit's due. AEW decided that they wanted it to announce it that way. History being made, unprecedented crowning. Yes, confetti was flying. Anthony Floyo was loving it.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I would say about 3.5 stars, but my goodness, man. I mean, whoever would have thought that was going to happen? I think we all were thinking, it's not going to be. This is probably going to be, either there was going to be some interference by, there was probably going to be interference by,
the Outcasts,
or
Saraya,
no.
Soho.
Yeah, no, they pulled the trigger. Hikaru Shida won the title. I mean, I'm stunned. I was floored. My jaw hit the floor. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? They gave it to Shida? Well, yeah. All right. So, I mean, there was that theory about, book the women's division better. I don't know if they booked it better, but I mean, they're taking a big risk putting Shida with the belt now. I don't know, Anthony. Your thoughts? I'm pretty optimistic, but I don't know.
Well, there is a reason for this, MF. I'm almost certain. I think their original plan was, to have Jamie Hayter, take the title off of Toni Storm at All In at Wembley. But
yes,
news came out that Jamie Hayter's injury was actually worse than expected.
Yes.
And she's going to be out a lot longer than they had initially thought.
Yeah, they're saying possibly now either at the end of 2023 or as early as January or February of 2024. Major blow.
Yeah. So AEW was basically backed into a corner. So they had to do something. And they figured, you know what? 200th show. They gave them the main event spot. And you know what, MF? You may not have saw it coming, but there was a small part of me that I actually thought this was going to happen. Especially if they're putting this in the main event spot. The only reason I could justify it being the main event is if they were going to put the belt on Shida, give the crowd send the crowd home happy moment. And yes, those fans at the Youngling Center, formerly the Sun Dome in Tampa, Florida, yeah, you're taking home a memory tonight. On the heels of online criticism surrounding the company's treatment of its women's division, arguably the greatest women's champion in AEW history, Hikaru Shida battled the first two-time title holder in company history, Toni Storm, in the main event of Dynamite 200. Shida and Storm delivered on their end of the bargain, producing a quality wrestling match. Shida, a resilient babyface, overcame every attempt to derail her and out-wrestle Toni Storm to net her second women's championship. That moment was well-deserved, as like Trent Beretta earlier in the show. Shida is among the most underrated talents in the industry and has repeatedly proven her excellence for AEW. There were still issues with this, most centering on the heels. The Outcasts started as a rebellious group meant to shake up the women's division and cause headaches for the AEW originals. Yes, the ill-timed injury suffered by Jamie Hayter threw a wrench into the creative plans, but the company's inability to adapt and advance the story resulted in a relatively hot heel group becoming one-dimensional, relying on incessant interference to define them rather than their original purpose. They became stagnant, and no matter how good Tony Storm is between the ropes, the trio was unable to sustain momentum. To the point that tonight's loss feels almost like the swan song for the faction, rather than any substantive development. And that's a shame because the pieces were there for a strong storyline that could finally help this division realize its potential. Now, even with a great champion now at the helm, it feels as though the roster is in as great a status quo as it has ever been. But it was still a fantastic match. I'll actually call this the fight of the night. I'll give this between 3.5 and 3 3/4 of a star. And I kind of saw it coming, especially with the Hayter injury. AEW had to do something. So why not give it to someone who we all know? Let's not forget, she's the one who carried the women's division during the pandemic. Let's not forget that.
Oh, absolutely.
Winning the title at Double or Nothing 2020, only to dethroning Nyla Rose, and then dropping the title at that very same event 1 year later to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She hasn't had a sniff of the title since then. It's been like 2.25 years since she's held the title. And let's not forget, she is the longest women's world champion in terms of title day run in history. She held that title for 372 days. That's a year and a week that she held the title. Will they give her that long of a run again? I don't know. They might. They may not. I don't know. But they had to do something. Because let's be realistic. We're almost certain, and I'm almost certain, that I know what they really wanted to do. They wanted to save it for All In, Wembley Stadium. Jamie Hayter would take the belt back from Tony Storm in front of that madhouse at Wembley. Would have been awesome, but injuries are a part of the business, as we all know. So, as we always say, it is what it is. But nonetheless, great match, great moment. Shida deserves it. Like I said, it's been 2.25 years since she's held the title, and I think it was long enough. And I always felt one day she was going to get the title back. I didn't think it was going to take them 2.25 years to give it back to her, but at least, she got it, and, a great moment. And it's always special when you get that tripod type confetti there. So always fun, whether it's the confetti or the streamers for the big celebration after a title switch, especially a babyface title win. Always something special about it. So congratulations to Kaoru Shida, well deserved, and more power to you. So 3.5, 3 3/4 of a star for me. This was the fight of the night, and well, I'll say it like this: as far as the overall review goes, the 200th episode of AEW Dynamite was a fun show. It was not the blow-away show from an in-ring perspective that some might have hoped for, but it did have quality work and developments up and down its 2-hour runtime, with the latest in the rivalry between the Mogul Embassy and Darby Allin standing out as an exemplary angle. MJF's promo was great. Oh, by the way, we finally have our first match for All Out, or I should say All In. It's not just any match, friends. It's the main event. MJF is going to defend the AEW World Heavyweight Championship against Adam Cole. And we finally have a start time for this show. 1 p.m. Eastern on August 27th. It's going to start at 1 p.m. Eastern with the 0-hour pre-show at high noon on August 27th. So make sure to, as the late, great Richard Dawson on Family Feud and MF likes to say, make a note of it. So make a note of that. I know I have. MF, make a note of it if you haven't already. So that's August 27th, 0-hour pre-show, high noon. And the main show will start at 1 p.m. Eastern here in the States. And it's going to be 6 o'clock their time. So, yeah. But nonetheless, MJF, Adam Cole for the title. Their promo segment was great, and MF, the surprise appearance of your all-time boy, Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
And happy birthday to me, because next week he's challenging Jack Perry for the FTW championship. So, but like I said, MJF's promo was great. The RVD appearance was a nice surprise, and Chris Jericho's moral dilemma and its effect on the Jericho Appreciation Society has made for some of the most interesting work the Ocho has delivered in years. If there was a down note, it was the Anything Goes match, which felt hugely unnecessary in the wake of Blood and Guts and was really just another excuse to get Jon Moxley and Weapons in the same ring. That needs to stop before it becomes a running gag in the same way Moxley Always Bleeding did a few months back. And it's a shame, too, because the effort was there from all those involved, but it was completely undermined by the reliance on the hardcore shtick that has been overdone to the ninth degree in this company of late. But still, that could not take away from what was a quality celebration of AEW's first 200 episodes of Dynamite at a time when the company is entering what may very well be the most important stretch of its entire existence. When you're going to have pay-per-view events in consecutive weeks, something we have not seen since WWE did this, when they had SummerSlam and Payback in 2020. So it's been almost 3 years since we've seen something like this, where you're going to have All In on August 27th at Wembley, and then the following week, which is Labor Day weekend, September 3, when they're going to be in Chicago for All Out. So we'll see what happens. But solid 8 out of 10 for me. So not much more for me to say about it. So MF, take it home, and then we'll set up some very exciting future content coming up.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good show. Solid to say the very least. And there's really nothing more to add here. So yeah, like you said, it was a solid. I say 8 out of 10. So we're done, and yeah, we're out of here, boys. So on Friday night, we're gonna have another special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. As what we're gonna do is we're gonna have SmackDown Live.
Yep.
We're gonna recap RWA Legacy, and we're previewing SummerSlam, the hottest night of the summer.
Oh, and MF, let's not forget, you got to do the big three because the games are on Saturday this week, I believe.
Yep, Saturday, big three. We'll cover that too. We'll do that briefly. I won't go into detail like I did last week. I'll just do it like a quick synopsis.
There you go.
But then Sunday, 10 p.m., we'll do AEW Collision and the recap of SummerSlam, the hottest night of the summer. So that's how the layout's going to go. Friday we'll have one show. Sunday we're going to have the other show. And then we'll be done. And then we'll do it all over again on Monday. So
what time Friday? 10:30?
10:30 as usual.
Okay.
Yep, 10:30 for both shows. So
we said 10 p.m. for Sunday.
10 p.m. for Sunday, yes.
All right, 10:30 Friday, 10 Sunday. Got it.
Yep. All right. So that's it. We're out of here, guys. So have a great night. For Anthony Flair, I'm Michael Fletcher saying so long, everybody, and we'll see you guys on Friday.